Hi guys, welcome to Unit 7, Lesson 4, Surface Area of Cones. So there's a couple different things that we need to consider, especially when we get to word problems and stuff like that. So there's something called total surface area, right? So that's the entire area of the cone. So like the actual cone shape as well as the base, which would be a circle. Or lateral surface area, and that's the surface area not including the base, not including the bottom, okay? So just keep those things in mind depending on what problems you get to and what it's asking for, all right? Because if like a cone needs to be painted, but they're not going to paint the bottom, we don't need to include that space, right? So the total surface area formula that we're going to be working on is pi r squared. That's the area of a circle, so that would be the base. And then the formula for the rest of the cone, the lateral surface area, is pi times the radius times the slant height. That's what L represents, okay? So if we're excluding the base, then we would only need pi times the radius times the slant height, okay? So, and as long as you use those formulas, you know that you're using those formulas, then you should be good to go, right? We're just plugging numbers in and solving. So the first one we have here is find the surface area. So we're going to do the total surface area. Okay, so let me write down our problem. We've got surface area is equal to pi r squared plus pi times the radius times the slant height. And then we're just plugging stuff in. And it'll say in your lesson, just use 3.14 for pi. So we've got 3.14 times the radius, which is 5, so 5 squared, plus 3.14 times 5 times the slant height, which is 8. Just like in the last lesson, we can do some of this in our head, right? We don't have to put this whole thing into the calculator. We've got 3.14. I know what 5 squared is, right? That's 5 times 5, or 25. And then 5 times 8, I can do that. That's 40, right? So we have 3.14 times 40. And this is the point where maybe we want to get a calculator out, especially with the decimals, right? So let's see. We've got 3.14 times 25. That equals 78.5. Plus, and then we've got 3.14 times 4, oh, no, start that over. 3.14 times 40 gives me 125.6. Then I add them together, giving me 204 and 1/10. And we were working with meters. And area is always in your units squared, so it'd be meters squared. Okay? And that's it, right? Just plug and go. All right, number 2 says, a cook wants to cover the side of a cone-shaped funnel with parchment paper. The funnel has a diameter of 6 inches and a slant height of 4 inches. How much paper is needed to cover the side? So again, right, think about a funnel, or think about like a cone, like an ice cream cone, right? You're not going to cover the top of it, right? Especially if you're wanting to put something in. So this is one of those cases where all we need is the lateral surface area. Okay, so pi times the radius times the slant height. So pi times the radius times the slant height. Well, I'm given a few different things. I'm given the slant height, which is 4 inches. We know that pi, we're going to be using 3.14, but I'm also given the diameter, which is 6 inches. I don't need the diameter, though. I need the radius, right? And the radius is always half of the diameter. So that would be 3 inches. And then I plug and go, right? So pi I can write as 3.14. My radius was 3. My slant height was 4. And then I just continue to solve. So let's see, 3 times 4, I know that, that's 12. So 3.14 times 12. So see what that equals. 3.14 times 12 gives me 37 and 68 hundredths. And we were working with inches, so this would be inches squared. Okay? Good. Number 3, what is the surface area? Okay, and I know this is from your quick check. I don't remember which one though. I didn't write that down. So what is the surface area? Well, for the surface area, we need pi times the radius squared. That's going to give us the area of that base, plus pi times the radius times the slant height. Okay? So let's look at this. They gave us the diameter is 25, which means my radius is half of that, which would be 12.5. These are all centimeters. And then our slant height, or L, is 22 centimeters. So, and like we've been doing, we're going to consider pi as 3.14. Okay? And then we just plug it in. 3.14 times the radius squared. So 12.5 squared plus 3.14 times 12.5 times 22. Ooh, that was close. I almost ran out of room. Okay, I'm going to do part of this on a calculator. I don't know what 12.5 times 12.5 is off the top of my head. That gives me, let's see, so that we would have 3.14 times 156.25. I like to write everything out each time. That way, if I make any errors, I can go back and see exactly what I did. So this is going to be multiplied by 3.14. That gives me 490 and 625 hundredths. No, thousandths, excuse me. Oops. Clear all that. Then we've got 3.14 times 12.5 times 22. Gives me 863.5. I'm going to add in my 490.625, giving me 1,000. Uh-oh, I miswrote it. Is that the way I could say that? Gives me 1,354.125. And we were talking about centimeters, and they are squared. So that would be your final answer. And just pay attention if it asks you to round to a certain place value, then make sure you pay attention to that as well. Alright guys, as always, if you need extra support, just let me know.